Hello everybody, it is Ashen Prime once again coming to you with some Final Fantasy 15 Pitioss speedrunning. But I have a thing to talk about before we get right into it. I had a bit of a crisis of conscience, I guess, last night, where I was considering Pitioss and the speedrunning that I do and the category that I invented. Excuse me. That I called All Rooms, because its stated purpose was to go through every room in the building. But the problem was that was just very kind of nebulous and not easy to easy to describe, very easy to set very strict guidelines for. And so today I'm going to try something slightly different, something that I am calling now, which button, that button, All Plates. If you don't know, Pitioss has the Pitioss dungeon is progressed through by hitting a series of plates, and they are multicolored. There are white plates, there are orange plates, and there are some plates that for all rooms I had actually skipped. But in considering what would be an easier metric for other people who are not myself, if they ever wanted to run this, an easier metric to hit, have you hit every plate? Yes. And All Plates does actually do a lot of the same things that I wanted to do with all rooms. It just adds a little bit of extra here. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and get started. You can see my live split is completely blank right now because I haven't actually completed an All Plates run yet. I have some ideas. Again, the plates that I skipped in all rooms, I have some ideas of where to route those in. We'll see how that actually works. So we're just going to go ahead and get started right away here. Boop. And we're just gonna go. So, I say some ideas of where to route this in. All of my ideas are routed in at the end. So, at the start, my entire route is going to be exactly the same as it's been for all rooms. Just get through all of these rooms as quickly as possible. Use a couple of skips here and there to finish them faster than as I assume was intended by the designers of the dungeon. But oh nope, fall. That was interesting. I am going to impose my 3-strike rule. If I fall / void, well, not void out. If I fall 3 times, then I'm going to reset the run. This that doesn't include falls that are planned, although I don't think there are. Oh no, there's one. There's one in the run right now, and that doesn't include spikes. Spikes are their own metric. I'd probably go like spikes are more like if I get killed by the same spikes 3 or 4 times, then I'll quit. But falls are just accumulative. If there are 3 falls, I reset. Mostly because otherwise I'll just try and keep going through it to finish the run, and I'll just get more and more frustrated with myself, and then I'll start falling more, and it's just not a good place for me to be if I've... Oh, I missed. Dang it. That was a spikes. That didn't count as a fall. That was an unfortunate spikes, though. I have not missed that for quite a while. So it's good to know that I still can miss that I haven't got perfect at it, so I still need to try. It's not a freebie anymore. Or it's not a freebie like I kind of thought it was, which is why I got a little bit lazy on that, I think. I've been hitting that jump very well in recent past, so I didn't worry about it, and then I failed it, and now I'm worried about it again. A little bit higher. We jump over here. Here. This is my least favorite room, I'm not gonna lie. And I think it's my least favorite room because I haven't found a way to speed it up yet. Also, a lot of the times it feels more like luck than skill that I get through this without dying. Like there. Boop. That recovery animation on that jump is just long enough that I'm not always sure I'm going to make it. But I have always made it, so I don't know. As opposed to this room, which is one of my favorites, because I've got a fairly good strategy for getting through if the spikes don't randomly keep their hitboxes behind and kill me. That's 2. Well, no. I got a pretty good strategy for getting through this one that includes a couple of fun little skips. So it's one of my faves. And there it is. What's interesting about that room, though, as we talk about an all plates run, is that there are no plates in that room. That room is just a stepping stone for getting us into this room, which does have a plate at the end of it. So, you know. But that's not the only place where that's true. It's probably one of the smallest places where that's true. Uh-oh. 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 I'm not counting that one. I should count that one. By my own rules, I should count that one. But I'm not going to. I'm going to pretend like it didn't happen. And we're just going to move on with our lives. Nope. Nope. Okay, I have to count it that time. Okay. Go ahead and reload. What is that? Why are you still showing up? Anyway. Alright, let's try this again, shall we? Maybe I should up it to 5 strikes, because even on the 4 that one technically was, it felt a bit premature to be resetting. But in other times, it's really more about my mood than about the number, and whether or not I feel good about continuing the run. And that one I could have felt okay with, but I would have always been just a touch annoyed, especially since I'm trying to set a time for this category now. Let's hit the button, though. Oh, for the love of Pete. I do use button and plate interchangeably. I think they should be called plates because they're gigantic, much larger than any other button that you will ever see. On the other hand, you're just pressing them. They're just a really, really big button. But I think plate is a more accurate descriptor. Alright. Let's not get cocky on this one. I am constantly kind of on the lookout for places you can skip and any possible ways to get to buttons faster. Or get through rooms faster, I guess. Well, no, let's get to buttons now. Get to plates now. But I don't think there is one in this space. It seems like there should be, because it's just that ball in the way and the fencing around it. But that fencing around it seems impenetrable. Nope. That was a weird hang time as well. I'm not entirely sure that wasn't up to my computer just deciding it wanted to lag there. Now, what's unfortunate is that the next spot that I land on when I'm coming around for the second go is the spot that stops, which seems like it would be fine because it means that... Oh, wow, that was interesting. Oh, that was fun. No. We're just gonna go right ahead and say no to that one. Been having kind of a run of just... I assume that it's just that my concentration isn't great or something. Having a bad run recently, but it's fine. Doesn't hurt to just get the practice in. I am going to note that I'm probably not going to go as long today as I sometimes do. Admittedly, I don't go that long any day. Like 2 hours, I think, is the maximum I've ever gone. But today, I'm only planning to go an hour, maybe less. I don't... Oh, I did make that. But no, don't get crushed by spikes. That wasn't the cleanest I've ever gone through that. Which means that I need to find out what are and are not global cycles in this dungeon. Find out what things start moving when you get close to them and what things start moving at the beginning of the dungeon. So I can figure out what cycles I can actually have a little bit of control over and what cycles I just absolutely can't. For example, in the skull room coming up, which hopefully everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about because the skull room is the friggin' skull room. There's only one of them and it is just... it's a lot, but the platform in there doesn't start moving until you enter the room. And so that's definitely a local cycle and is really easy to plan around and make. My entire strat is based on the fact that I know it doesn't move until I'm in that room. Whereas the room right before that, with the one with the platforms going around the outside, which I should give a better name to, I have no idea what the cycle is on that. It seems more or less random to me every time. That's what this room should look like. That's a fun little graphical glitch there, isn't it? My poor computer. Do. Come on, here we go. Great. There's also another thing I think that I've been running into recently, a problem, or why I've been having some issues with recent runs, is that I am trying to incorporate a little bit more, better movement through non-platformy areas, if that makes any sense. It's just kind of a known fact of Final Fantasy 15 that the fastest way to move is to Warp Strike. The second fastest way to move, I think, is probably Chocobo back. But faster than walking and faster than running, even, is jumping. Jumping is actually faster than both of those. And so in most cases, it behooves, and it's slightly different in dungeons, I know, but in most cases, I'm going to give that just a half second there to make sure the hitbox is properly aligned, because I run into that issue more times than not. Anyway, so it behooves one when they're attempting a speedrun. Oh, that was fun. To jump as much as possible, because it is the fastest way to move Noctis through the space. What was that? What was that? That was me not paying attention, is what that was. This room is kind of a double-edged sword, because as I say, this is my favorite room, one of my favorite rooms, because I've got it down so well. Which means that when I obviously don't have it like that just was, I feel real bad. Like that. That obviously didn't start moving until I got in here. So that's obviously more of a local cycle. And I know for a fact that this spinner is synchronized with it because it's always in the same spot when I get up here. And I'm fairly certain this one is too, which means that all three of those are on a local cycle. Nope, let's not walk off the edge, just because the camera's not back to us. But here, I feel like these are always just kind of random, which to me says that these might be a global cycle, that these are moving over the course of the entire dungeon. Don't walk off the edge, please. which I want to do some looking into, see if I can figure out a way to actually plan out where those are, and have a better idea of what I'm going to be seeing in this room, rather than just kind of hoping to fate and good fortune that I get a nice cycle on the platforms. Because there is good cycles, and there is definitely bad cycles on these platforms. And that one that we just got was actually kind of a medium cycle. It was fine. But there is a much better cycle, and there is much worse cycles, so... That was an intentional spikes, because I think it's faster than any other way to get back to the front door. It might not actually be. I kind of need to rethink how I... Oh, well that's fun. Kind of need to rethink how I split there, because I almost don't have enough time, especially when I'm falling off the edge. I don't have enough time, but I almost don't have enough time to get down here when I have to take my hand off the controls to split. But it's fine. Oh, not soon enough, or too late. This is kind of annoying. I really wanted to show this off. And now I've wasted the several cycles that I would have saved. Oh well. It happens. But that didn't get us above the 3, so it doesn't count as having to... Well, that got me to 3, though. So, there we are. And seeing as I kind of want to get that first try anyway, I'm just going to reset and try again. Oh, you know what I can do while I'm waiting for this to load? Not much, actually. This is going pretty quickly. Never mind. Also, I can't open Chrome. I can't safely open Chrome. I don't trust that it would work at the moment. And I don't have enough... Well, maybe I do. That's not what I need. Well, anyway. Here we go. Don't get caught on that. What? What are you caught on there? There's like an invisible wall here for some reason? How odd. Okay, sure. I'll just avoid that in the future. It's fine. It's also not on the timer, so it doesn't really matter. Timer starts when I hit the first plate. Okay. I am a big fan of these playlists that Pretzel has put together. Kudos to whoever curates those. They're actually pretty well done. Come on, get back. Oh. Well, this is new. And that's an immediate reload. Because there's not much else I can do there. Let's not put that there. I'm taking just a moment here to do some actual marketing, which is not a thing that I normally do, because a lot of times I don't care. But it certainly is here. Okay. This guy. Not that guy. This guy. Let's put it here. Why is that what they copied? That's silly. Okay, let's go. That's there. Let's go into another one. Here. Also do this while I'm here. Sorry, this is a thing that I should have done a while ago, and I never do, so... What in the world is happening here? Don't care. Just copy and paste this, the whole thing. Copy that text, that's fine. I'll just paste this everywhere. Paste it here. Tweet that. Yes, I have a Twitter. I'm surprised too. That's not what I wanted. Open that back up. Okay, great, that's there. Let's go ahead and open up. Fatality. Can I not do this from here? Alright, well, never mind. It's not going to Facebook. Don't care that much about Facebook anyway. Don't care enough about it to reinitialize it on my phone because the Facebook app sucks. There, I said it. Moving on with our lives. Let's go ahead and do another run, shall we? And by another run, I mean maybe finish one? Maybe let's finish a run. In fact, yeah. Regardless of what happens during this run, I'm going to finish it. I might be really upset by the time I finish it, which is unfortunate if it happens, but I am going to finish it. Oh, just barely squeaked by that. Let's not try and do that anymore. Okay, great. We made it. I didn't get stuck on top of the cage this time, which is just a straight time loss. Alright, I'm getting better at controlling Noctis during certain cutscenes as well, which I'm really pleased about. It's one of the things that I knew right away as I started trying to run this would be a great way that I could just shave seconds here and there is getting comfortable with controlling Noctis during cutscenes, because you can move in every single cutscene. That last one with the door opening, for some reason there's like stunted movement. It's kind of weird, but you can do it. And so the trick is just knowing where he is, especially if you can't actually see him at the time, and there's a couple of cutscenes where you can't. But knowing where he is in relation to the camera, because especially on keyboard and mouse, which is what I play on, and with digital movement, the cardinal directions are mapped to the way the camera is pointing. Sweet. So you have to know what direction the camera is in relation to the character model, especially, again, like you can't, like here, you can't see Noctis. You can tell where he is because of the stamina bar, but you can't see him. And then also that kind of showed off the other thing is knowing when the camera switches back, because when the camera changes, the direction that you're controlling him changes as well. Oh, I've kind of buried the lead here. I do have the Mikote, I guess is how they pronounce that. I had never heard the word said out loud until the crossover event. I always called them the Mitok or something. But it's Mikote, apparently, is how that's being pronounced in English. But the cat boy skin for Noctis, because the crossover event was pretty fun, actually. It's a ridiculous amount of grinding afterwards to get anything worthwhile, but the event itself was fun. Fun enough that I actually had to do it twice. Because I didn't have to. I chose to do it twice. I did it once for my main save, and then this is a completely separate save file, so I had to load this up and go do it again, and then reestablish my save at the front of, or at the entrance to Pitioss. Not a big deal. Oh, that's not going to be great. It's going to throw off the... Yep. Dang. Anyway, so yeah, but it's worth it. It's worth it to see Noctis running around with a cattail. I'm dead. Apparently, I need to do a little bit less being distracted and a little bit more actually playing the game. There we are. This is another good one where I'm trying to get more comfortable moving Noctis in the cutscene. There are times when I've got him completely out the door before the end of that cutscene, and then I've jumped right off the edge of the cliff because the camera switched back. So I'm getting more and more comfortable. That was just terrible. Everything about that was bad. Let's try it again with the next one. Don't. Why? Why would you do that, though? Why would you step backwards when I'm obviously holding the forward button? I honestly have no idea why the animation did that there. That one was a little bit more straightforward. I just aimed the jump wrong. That's what I wanted to see here. Don't jump into those spikes. Those have killed me on more than one occasion. I'm a bit more cautious around that now than I have been in the past. Got to get out there. Don't fall off the edge. Okay, great. I've also just run into spikes there randomly, which is not great. I sworn that I went forward enough to get into the spikes, but apparently I didn't. Oh, well, that's not a spot I'd failed often. At least not recently. Really? Intriguing. That's what I wanted to see. Let's get down here. Let's not fall off until we want to. Perfect. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. And that's not a jump I miss often, but it's also not the first time I've missed that, so it's just kind of a thing. It's kind of a fact now that sometimes I will just miss that jump. I don't know that it helps to get into this space any earlier and sit waiting for this wall to get out of the way. Because you still end up having to sit here and wait for it to come back. Oh, his ears are red. Interesting. That felt weird, and I don't know why. I think that I know the adage, it's a poor craftsman that blames his tools, but I think my frames are getting ridiculously choppy here and just lagging the tiniest amount. That is not making this platforming easy. It's fine. It's fine. Like, this is the machine that I always run on, so I kind of know how to compensate for it. It's just interesting and kind of annoying that I have to. Come on, get up, get up, get up. Thank you. This is kind of the most interesting sequence of an all buttons run, because there are no buttons in the next like 3 spaces. You have to get to the statue, or you go through tilted room to get to 2D room, to get to statue room, to get to the scaffolding room, and then finally at the end of scaffold do you have another button. And there's probably going to be a way to skip all of this, if we're being honest. Which, if there is, then I'll just go back to running all rooms, and that's fine. But for now, I think that there's no reasonable way to get to what is the next button without going through these spaces. Especially since you still have to hit that button at the end of Skull Room. There is that button there that has to be hit. So at that point, you're in this space. It's not really helpful to try and go backwards, I guess. Like, it wouldn't. I guess it wouldn't be too terribly difficult to go backwards. And if it turns out that going backwards and hitting some form of skip is faster than going through all of this rigmarole, then, well, so be it. But I'll be honest. A big part of why I went with all rooms in the first place was to show off all the interesting bits of the dungeon. Because there are a lot of... Don't fall off the edge, please. There are a lot of interesting bits to this dungeon. Including this whole section, which is just like, it's a platformer, it has to be 2D, right? We're gonna make it 2D. It's 2D now! Which it's not really, it's still 3D, it's just your camera is at a very fixed position. And it is very possible to just walk off the front edge of this. Or, in this case, off the back edge. But... fantastic. That's the cleanest I've ever done that. Which isn't to say that I haven't done it that clean before, but when I do it clean, that's what that looks like. Which makes me happy. Alright. So again, there's no buttons in this space. There's just the statue that we have to knock over to get to the next room that also doesn't have any buttons in it. But since at the moment there doesn't seem to be a way to skip to the next button without going through here.
This is ridiculous.
All buttons does a lot of the same things that all rooms does. Which again is kind of the reason why I'm still kind of up in the air, because I'll explain. I mean, might as well, we're sitting here staring at a wall for a bit. Just kind of go through my reasoning. So I decided to do all rooms because there were buttons I wanted to skip, but I still wanted to show off the whole dungeon. The problem was that all rooms, there's no real good way to categorize it, or to clarify what is and is not allowed for all rooms. Well, what counts as a room? There are multiple spots. In fact, after scaffold, we get into what I just call unimaginatively same room, because you're going through the same rooms you've already been in, just in different and I think more interesting areas that I wanted to show off. So I included them as part of my run, as part of my route through there. But if other people are interested in running this, and I kind of want there to be, I want other people to get interested in this, to get interested in doing these. This variation, I guess, on 100%. 100% is a completely different topic that we'll get into later. But if I want other people to be interested in this, then there needs to be a better set of standards than just, oh, those places that I go to, going through the route that I take, because that's not good enough for a community. That's not good enough for a speedrunning category. And so I decided last night, and honestly, you know, those nights where you just kind of sit awake and ponder the great mysteries of life. Well, I pondered this. I decided to try an all buttons route, or all plates. All plates, all buttons, I call them. Again, I swap those two around in my head all the time. That was interesting and not a thing I've ever done before. Let's not miss that jump this time. But in considering the all buttons route and considering where all of the buttons are, again, there's the 4 buttons that I skip, only 4, that will have to be routed in, and I think I know where I want to do that. It's actually coming up here shortly. In fact, you'll see the first 2 routed in in a few seconds. Oh, I need to split here. That split's going to be a bit late, but I don't care. So yeah, in considering what I wanted, I actually went through a lot of different thoughts. Like there are 2 types of buttons. There are the white buttons and there are the orange buttons. And I thought, well, what about just an all orange buttons thing? Well, no, because then one of the big areas, this whole thing up here that I'm about to get to, after I come down here and get these 2 buttons that I need to get, but to make sure that I can get back, I'm going to jump over here and open up this passageway. Okay. And now I'll come back up here. We get these 2 buttons that are normally that have been skipped in the all rooms route, but for all buttons you have to get them. That don't actually accomplish anything major. Whoa, okay, sure, void out there. That might actually be faster than running back up here. Interesting to test. Sure, we'll say void out because I can void out during the cutscene. I like that actually. Great. So those are 2 that I haven't gotten before. Boop. And over here. Boop. And up here. And then up here. So yeah, getting those 2 in here is part of it. The reason I put them there is I think that even with the extra steps of having to go back and open those shortcuts up so that you can get back up there quicker, I think that's still faster than going the quote-unquote intended route, which is riding that cage all the way up and then hitting those and then going back around and through that whole first segment again to jump back on Ifrit's back. I think what I'll call cage skip, I guess, where at the beginning I jump off the cage and... Oh, no. Who? Okay. I have a plan. I have a backup for this, which I actually came up with a while ago for all rooms, because that jump is ridiculously hard to land, and it's such a long ways away to go back and get back up on top of that button. So instead, I skip that button for the moment. And I come over here. This does mess up where I wanted to route the last 2 skipped buttons into, but I think it's going to be fine. I'm going to jump down here. I'm going to move over here. Be down here now. I will get over to that orange button in a second, but first I need to come down here. Poo. To come down here. I need to get to this button. And this is why I've decided to Why didn't you walk off the edge? This is why I've decided to route this the way I have, because getting to this button now, I think, is just the smartest way to do it. And that's the last button I need to hit, besides the orange button, which I'm getting to in a second. By coming up here. This does kind of throw off my splits a little bit, because I wanted those two buttons to be part of the black hood split. But this method, when I have to hit this back up, it's just better. When I can hit this back up, which I know I can do, because I've had to do it before, it is possible to jump up there. I know it is. Or at least I know it should be. That's what I wanted to see. Okay, and that is all the buttons pressed, which means now I can just go ahead and go... Well, that's almost all the buttons pressed. There's still the one right at the end that takes the elevator up to pick up. I guess I should hit this split. I should move that split is what I should do to make my life simpler. And then we hit this. I should move the same room split to a different, probably to that white button on the pillar that I like to fall off of. And pick that up. Okay, here's what's really interesting. 1952-82 is actually better than my current PB for all rooms. Which, admittedly, my current PB for all rooms does not include all of the skips that I incorporated here. My all rooms PB doesn't have the skull room one cycle. It doesn't have the statue skip, which I will call statue skip. I don't care what the creator of that skip named it, or the person who found it named it. I'm calling it statue skip. But it also doesn't have 4 random buttons and as many fails as I did there. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and save this split. Boop. And then we're gonna do another run and see if it's cleaner. I mean, I knew that my all rooms was gonna get faster. But I think, honestly, I think I'm done running all rooms, because all buttons is just going to be, I think, a more well-received category, an easier category for other people to get into. Because it's not just whatever I decide is a room. It's very obvious and measurable if you have hit every button or not. I should actually count how many buttons there are. I know where they all are. I just don't know how many there are. I haven't actually counted them. So yeah, I think this skip here, I think, is faster. Is I think what makes it faster to go back and get that, to open up those shortcuts and get that button later than it is to... Anyway, words. I am going to split my same room at a slightly different spot this time. I'm gonna split it as soon as I hit that white button on the pillar, like I talked about. But otherwise, I'm just going to go through this basically the same way I just did and see if I can beat the 19 minutes already. Because it was not a clean run by any stretch of the imagination. It was a pretty good run, though. Especially, like I say, it's already beaten my all rooms PB, and I added junk to it, and also failed a little bit there at the end. I need to practice that backup strat more, because I've practiced it a couple times, and I knew that I needed to attack. I just kind of forgot. Anybody who isn't familiar with what I mean when I say I needed to attack, I turned my phone off. I can't see my chat anymore, which probably isn't a big deal. It usually isn't a big deal. I think Pretzel's the only thing posting in there, but shh. Let me dream. great. So, I repeat myself often as I do these runs because I assume, mostly because I haven't had a viewer base, that anybody who watches these are watching them for the first time. And so I explain basically what's going on each time. So, the kind of movement slash... movement mechanics in a Final Fantasy speedrun to start with. Oh, shoot. How did I just do... Nope. 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 I'm not going to allow myself to do such a stupid and keep it in. That's not a thing. Okay. We'll start this whole thing over. It'll be fine. We'll pretend like the last one just didn't even happen. Pretzel getting me all the good stuff today. I like it. It's just a great playlist. What time is it? I can get at least one more run in. We'll see where time lands after that. Okay, here we go. So Final Fantasy 15 speedrunning. Movement mechanics that are notable. First off is that jumping is the fastest thing you can do. And sure, that sometimes changes depending on the location. Like, they weirdly nerf it in some dungeons. Not entirely sure why. I think that was actually faster to just jump across there than to swing, because there is an animation. Anyway. So if you want to go the fastest in... the fastest you can, you're pretty much jumping all the time. There are other movement mechanics that are faster than jumping. Walking is not one of them. Running, strangely enough, is not one of them. You can't just run. There's a sprint option. You have stamina, and we actually make use of that in a little bit. But it's still faster to jump, strangely. We do. Speaking of jumping, give me a second here. Okay. That was kind of the more perilous part there, and I'm over it now. There are two mechanics that I use in this run to skip some things that were definitely not intended to have been skipped. One of them uses that stamina bar that I showed off a little bit ago, because as a mechanic of the game, you can, if you have good timing, refill your stamina bar by hitting the run button at a very specific time. And in addition to refilling your stamina bar, that also gives you just a slight forward boost. And so there is a very specific skip that I will be doing later in the dungeon that utilizes that. The other thing that we use that you might have noticed a couple of times already, and you will definitely notice right here as I use it, is an attack. Specifically attacking with daggers. It does that weird fun spinny thing that just gives more distance to the jump than you otherwise get. Other things to watch out for, though, as far as movement is concerned, are animations. Because I like to put it this way. Noctis is his own character. Noctis is not the player. He is his own being, his own entity. And as the player, I can give him suggestions, and he will take them or not, and do whatever he wants. And so if I try and give him a suggestion while he's in the middle of an animation, he just won't take it. And there are many times when I'll just completely lose an input because he happened to be in the middle of a... Oh, let's not die to spikes, please. Because he happened to be in the middle of an animation at the time. And so, whoop. And there you see with the knives as well. They're swinging with the daggers. And so the biggest one that's a problem with that is the recovery animation. If he falls too far, then he has to wait to stand back up. And that can get that can be troublesome sometimes. Make me miss cycles or run into a dangerous area. Another fun thing about this dungeon specifically is that he can still move in cutscenes. So to pull that off, you have to first off know when cutscenes are happening, where the camera will be, because movement at that point is relative to the camera position. So you have to press the correct button for that. It might be faster to take my other route here. We'll have to see that sometime in the future. Like that. I don't understand why he stepped backwards there, and that has sometimes caused me to fall off the edge. And the fact that I didn't there was more, I think, luck than anything, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate when a run comes down more to luck than anything else. But sometimes it just does. Where was I going with this? I don't know. I had another thought. Oh yes, moving in cutscenes. So you have to know where in the cutscene he is, where in the cutscene you are. And just be prepared for all of that.
Oh.
Know when you're jumping off ledges, how far can you jump? Ah, bollocks. How far can you jump? If you're going to be falling far, what direction do you fall so that the roll at the end doesn't just roll you completely off of the edge, which happens more often than I'd like to admit. So here's a really good example. Even with run, you can't really outstrip this beast of a thing that's moving back and forth in the room. But with jump, you can you actually outpace it. So a really good example of jump just being the fastest movement method in the game. And that's not quite true. There are faster movement methods. Warp striking is faster, but that's disabled here in Pitioss. And chocos, I think, are faster than jumping. I'm actually not as sure about that one because they have stamina and the give and take. There's a bit of give and take there that I'm not quite sure about. But for the most part, jumping is the least resource-intensive thing to get you moving quickly. Now, of course, that changes in certain parts in the any % / New Game Plus route, the full game routes that aren't just this random optional side dungeon. Because at times you play as other characters. Specifically, there is a time when you play as Gladio, just because it's faster than the Noctis section through the same content. And he's actually faster to run than to jump, so that was a good example there of just making sure you know where you're going to roll, having to line it up correctly so that you don't just immediately die. Here is waiting for the recovery animation and hoping that it gets done in time for you to actually get off the platform at the right spot. So we're in this tilted room now, which is tricky, is the best way that I like to describe it. Not because, not just because of the odd geometry. Like the first time you go through this, the first time I went through this, it was very difficult for me to know what was and was not a surface I could jump on. Which things are at the correct 45-degree angle that they won't just immediately shuck Noctis off of them. Okay. Interesting. So there's a little bit of that. Also, just the fact that I, so far, have not found any good skips in this room. This is the closest thing I have to a skip, is just jumping over that corner there and landing down here first. The only other thing that you kind of have on your side in this room is just knowing the path, knowing the route, so that you don't get distracted by everything else, every other direction that you could go. Man, words did not fit in my mouth right there. But then we get into this, which is just so much fun. Suddenly, Final Fantasy 15 is two-dimensional. Which is unfair, because it's definitely still three-dimensional. You can still fall off the front. And off the back in some cases. Mostly the front. In most cases, the back is covered. But they're just like, oh, we're doing a platformer. Platformers, what do platformers have? Platformers have 2 dimensions, right? We should make it two-dimensional. Like, okay, sure. Whatever you say. And this is a part where I kind of need to pay more attention, because I have a tendency to just accidentally right here at the end. But 'twas not the case today. For today's case, we are complete. And then, boop. And believe it or not, this is actually faster than climbing up the rest of that ramp all the way to the statue. And here we get into statue skip. I'll explain more as we get closer, but it does. This is where we take advantage of the stamina refilling boost that I mentioned earlier. Also worth noting, the any percent for Pitioss. I think that's too early. Yep, the 80% for Pitioss also uses the stamina boost mechanic to just completely skip over all of the dungeon, basically. That's, as we get closer to the end, you'll see that the end of the dungeon is right next to the beginning of the dungeon. It's just like a long jump away, a longer jump than Noctis can usually make away. And so, when enterprising speedrunners find a mechanic like the... let's make sure I land on this. Nope. Fell too far. Dang it. I was hoping I could get this first try, but I haven't even been able to get to the spot to do the skip yet, which is just slightly unfortunate. Can we just get up here, please? Thank you. What in the world was that? What was that, Noctis? There are any number of things that I could blame that on. I'm going to blame it on the fact that I'm fairly certain I hit the jump button and he just didn't. There's also the possibility that I just didn't hit the jump button. Okay, now we come up here. Okay, here we are. So the first thing we have to do, the first step to this, is draining our stamina meter. Because as I said, this skip requires that we refill the stamina meter. And I have found that if I shove my nose right into this exact crack in the wall, that helps me time when I need to run pretty easily, pretty simply. So right about now, I need to take off and swip. Oh, and just fail it. And just fail it entirely. That's fun. I will note that on the counter, I am currently more than 30 seconds behind my pace from the last run, which is slightly unfortunate, but oh well. I'm still on a good pace for the full dungeon, so I'm okay with that.
This is ridiculous.
Say it now. Okay. Here we go. And so again, with the draining our stamina, this is a part where it feels like it might be worthwhile to get a lower level Noctis for my save. 1, 2, 3. Because stamina does, your stamina bar does get bigger, or more expansive. I don't know. You have more stamina as you get a higher level. Okay, let's take this now. There it is. So you notice we had to use both things there, which is the point of having the of using the stamina boost in any place where it's used is because the amount of forward momentum you gain with the daggers is not enough. You have to use the daggers plus a little bit more, and that's where the stamina boost comes in. Because that stamina boost gives you that little bit more that you need to then be able to swing the daggers and actually make it. And it almost feels like you could be okay with just one or the other. No, use both. Use both, otherwise you miss. If you don't land on the right spot, you actually just kind of fall off, which is most unfortunate. So we're here above the statue again. I don't know that it's necessary to swing there, honestly. I think you might have enough distance without, and then you don't have the recovery animation after the swing to deal with. I kind of just do it because I saw someone else do it. So I should do some testing of that. Whoop. So we've been going around through the depths of this place. We obviously had an elevator take us up at one point, but this kind of weird darkness area of the dungeon. And now we see something that looks slightly familiar and another button to hit, and oh my goodness, we're right back where we started. And so this is actually, this platform here that I just landed on is where the 80% route goes. It's not too difficult to make it to that. Well, sure, then. We'll just fail completely. It's not too difficult to make it to that platform with the sprint, or the stamina boost, and daggers. So the 80% is seconds long, like maybe 90 seconds, I think. I think the 80% record is less than 2 minutes. I think it's less than 1.5 minutes, honestly. Oh, I didn't split when I got past scaffold room. Oops. No, my split on that is wrong now, but I don't care. Alright, so we skipped these buttons earlier, so we have to come back and get them now. But to make sure that we can actually get back, I'm gonna walk past them for a second and come down here and go ahead and open up this shortcut. There's several of these shortcuts throughout the dungeon. These are the only two that I need for this route. In fact, I think they're the only two that are needed for any route, if I'm being honest. I can't really imagine a way where a time when you would need. Oh, bother. Well, okay then. That's I just realized that I forgot a button. Which means that both of my runs so far have been null and void. Great. Just great. Okay, I'll figure that out later. That'll just add a little bit of time to the first room. Because there is a button right at the beginning to send the elevator back up. And if you're doing it all buttons, you need to hit that button. I kind of forgot that it existed. So, could we maybe not hear Noctis? This is interesting. Interesting and unusual. Alright, there we are.
Yes.
Okay. Let's do a little less failing here. We'll go here. We'll jump up here. We'll jump over here. Come down here. Jump over here. Boom. And then I'm going to take the split there. Well, 2 minutes ahead of where I had it last time, but that's fine. Okay. Then we come over here. We come up here, hit this button. Oh, and fall off the edge. Which is fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. We come up here, which leads to over here, which leads me up here. Whoop. over here. I have not been doing as good in this room recently, which leads me to believe that I need more practice in here. So I might, well, that was interesting. You know what, for completion's sake, while I'm here, let's just go ahead and come back here and hit this button. So I think for a full, or a better route for that, since obviously that's not ideal, is going to be doing it right at the top of the, at the very beginning of the dungeon. But if I want this run to actually count, I have to hit all the buttons, and that's one of the buttons, so it has to be hit. Alright, now we hit this button. We fall off the edge. We're over here now. We wait for you to get out of the way. We come down. Oh, I have to jump there apparently. Why does this void me out back over to here? This is what I don't understand. I apologize. I'm getting a little bit heated. I don't actually apologize. I'm kind of annoyed right now. Mostly at myself. Sure, why not just be here? This is exactly where I wanted you, Noctis. That's right. Okay. Jump here. We fall off the edge. I said fall off the edge. Okay, it appears that Noctis does not like jumping off the edge in a cutscene, which is probably a good thing, but I wish he would. It would make my life simpler. Then we hit that button. We've hit all the buttons except for the very last one at the escape elevator. So we'll go ahead and get over there now. And fall. We'll just fall. Why not? Boy. So this has been rough. It's not getting better. My endings have been rough, very rough lately. And I mean, that's just kind of the nature of reset heavy speedruns, is there are areas where you just don't ever get to if you're constantly resetting at the beginning. To get the beginning down pat and then just never practice the end of it, which feels wrong. It feels like I actually advice that I got from my band teacher way back in high school is don't just practice the same bits over and over, because then you'll get really good at the beginning part of that bit and you'll never learn the ending. Okay, so that was abysmal. There's no getting around that. And the first run that I did that was actually really great doesn't count because I missed a button.
So,
oh, shut up. But what I have learned based on that first run is that an all buttons is not enough of a time waste, enough of a time sink that I want to avoid it. In fact, I think that's what I'm gonna pivot to now, is constantly doing, or is only doing on all button run. I am going to actually save, this feels bad, but since this is my first official all button run, I am going to save the splits. This did not beat your current splits. Would you like to say this run is my personal best? I would, which is unfortunate because it was terrible, but only by like 2 minutes, but those 2 minutes were right at the end. So I need to spend some time practicing that ending. That's a thing that I've obviously learned here. Need to go in and just find a good way to just kind of skip to the end and just do it over and over. And I say find a good way. The 80% already has a way to just skip to the end and do it over and over and over and over and over again. Because it is basically up through scaffold, I'm pretty okay. But right after that is where I've been having the most trouble recently. So I need to spend a lot of time there. So I want to thank anybody who has been watching. I always appreciate any support that I get. And hope that somebody else finds this an interesting category and something that they want to try and run. So thank you all, and until next time, have a good one.